Welcome to the lecture series of operating system. In today's lecture, we will try to understand about the structure of the operating system. So, in this structure of this operating system, we are actually going through the layered structure of the operating system. So, without any further delay, let's begin this lecture. So, first of all, we need to understand what are the things that we have in layered structure and why basically we require this layered structure. Okay, so in case of layered structure, the operating system is basically divided into various layers, and each of these layer had certain different functionalities. So in operating system, we have a lot of different things that are actually available, and we maybe in the form of functionality, maybe in the form of any other services. So in layered structure, what we are actually having, so we are actually categorizing this functionality into various layered, and we are placing the layers one after another. And in this layered structure, as we are actually categorizing those layers, so we need to understand, or those layers are actually performing certain different functionalities. Okay, so the basic objective of this layered structure is that whatever functionalities we have, those functionalities will be like categorized into various layers, and they have like these layers will be performing different functionalities. Then as these layered structures are created, these are basically an improvement over the earlier, like early monolithic system. So whatever systems we have in the monolithic form, so it is this layered structure will provide a better improvement over those like old systems. Then it is provide some sort of advantage in an operating system. Basically, in order to understand what are the things that is actually going inside this in the operating system, how these layers are actually interacting, so basically all those things can be provided in the operating system with a better advantage. Layers can be defined separately and interact with each other, like each of these layers are actually mentioned, or whatever layers are there, those will be defined separately, and these layers need to interact with each other. And in the upcoming like slide, we are actually having the diagram, so that we will have a better understanding for that, like how they are placed with each other, and what is the what sort of interaction is actually taking place. Then this sort of our structure, if we are following, it will be easy for the creation, it is easy for the maintenance, and it is easy for the update of the system. So for example, if we are keeping in the layered structure, and we have certain functionalities, like if in any functionalities, or in case of any program or any specific thing, if we want to change anything, then we need not to hamper the other layers. So we can directly choose that particular layer, and wherever specifically we need to modify that particular thing, so it is very easy to maintain in that way. As it is easy to maintain in that way, it is easy to update. And if we want to add certain feature in any one layer, that can also be done. And if we want to create anything, so create that particular thing and in like incorporate in any particular layer, so all those things are easy, like creation, maintenance, and the updation of the system, if it is required. So in terms of layer perspective, it will be very easy. So let's check the diagram of this layered structure. So in layered structure, basically we have 6 different layers. The innermost layer is the hardware layer, through which the user is expecting some operation to be performed and get the desired output. Then that particular layer is called layer 1, or we called it as the hardware layer. The second one is layer 2, which is called the CPU scheduling layer. The third layer is called as the memory management layer. Layer 4 is process management, which is basically responsible for managing the process. Then in fifth layer we have input output buffer. It is basically responsible for managing the input output devices. And the sixth layer is the user program layer. Okay, so we will be discussing each of these layer one by one, and let's see what are the different things we are having in each layer. So let's go into that. So the first layer that we have discussed in the diagram, that is the hardware layer, and it is the innermost layer. So in operating system, what is the basic purpose of the operating system is that user need to have certain result or certain operation that from the system that we have, the hardware. but operating system is a kind of interface between the hardware and the user. So operating system let the user to do the operation on the hardware. Like if we are having a hardware, so if the user want to use that hardware, for example printing of any sheet or anything, so user cannot directly give input to the printer. So it requires certain, like it require a hardware in which the printer will be actually connected, or in other way the it require a platform, a software in which it will give some input. For example, if you want to print anything, suppose a word file, we need to have the operating system. So in that word file should, first of all the word file should open. Then if word file is open, then there should be a print option available. So if it is, that print option is available while we are pressing that print button, it will redirect the drivers that are actually installed in that operating system for that specific printer. Okay, then only the like printer is able to print. Suppose when we purchase a new printer and the hardware, the driver we haven't installed for that particular printer, so even if we are trying to print, then also it won't be getting printed. So first of all, after like connecting the printer to the system like laptop or desktop, we need to install its respective driver in the system. So once the driver is being installed, that means the driver is getting installed in the operating system, which will help the operating system to understand how that particular device will actually work. Okay, and based on that condition only, it will take the input from the different user programs. For example, Word, for example, PDF, Paint, any image like image editor or any sort of image opener software. Okay, so in that case, if the device driver is successfully installed, then if we are printing, if we are just trying to print anything, then from that user program, the instruction will get passed through the device driver and directly it will move to the device, the hardware. Okay, so this particular layer is actually taking care of all those hardware devices, the hardware, the innermost layer. Okay, for example, we have printer, we have mouse, we have keyboard, scanner, different hardware, whatever possible hardware we can have. This particular layer is actually taking care of all those hardware. Okay, so I think this one is clear how the hardware layer is maintaining all the different like information about different hardwares. Then the next one is CPU scheduling. Why we require CPU scheduling? Because in normal system we are having one CPU, and in normal system if we are having one CPU, so in one CPU only one process can run at a time. So CPU is one of the most important and what like we can say the most priority thing in the computer architecture. So we have to utilize this CPU as a resource very wisely. So there should be certain mechanism in the operating system in which we can utilize the CPU with the best possible way. Okay, suppose at any particular moment there are three users who want to perform a task, or there are three programs which are actually like running, and all the programs require CPU. So there should be certain CPU scheduling mechanism by which we can allocate the CPU to three of those program. Okay, but like only one program can execute in the CPU. Okay, and the other has to wait while others are waiting and one is running. So if the like running of the first program is complete, then the CPU will be allocated to the next program without any delay. So the CPU, the point is that we should not let the CPU to sit idle for any particular moment. Okay, so in that case we require some sort of algorithm, some sort of CPU scheduling or CPU handling algorithm through which we can perform all those things. So that is the thing why we require this CPU scheduling. So all these CPU scheduling related things are actually taken care by the CPU scheduling layer. Okay, there are many CPU scheduling queues we are actually maintaining, like in the CPU scheduling queue, there will be multiple processes which are actually adding up. So once the process is complete, it leaves the queue, and like that. Okay, so these are the things that we have in the CPU scheduling part. Then we have memory management part. So as we have discussed that, like in this like architecture, that memory is another most important resource in the computer system. Okay, basically the primary memory, the RAM we are actually talking about. So that particular RAM, nowadays we have like 4 GB, 8 GB of RAM, but think about the earlier system RAM where we are having only like 1 GB of RAM, or 512 MB of RAM, or 256 MB of RAM. So every KB is very important. Okay, so if any process is actually running, and after completion, that process is still there in the memory, so just think about, so we are losing a sort of memory there. Okay, so at there may be possibility that at some point of time we will not be having any memory left to execute any further program. So memory is another important aspect where we need to take care, or where we need to manage the memory properly, and based upon the different programs or different user, they are actually trying to execute the programs in the system. Okay, so if a new process is coming, we have to load that process into the main memory. Once that process execution is done, that process need to be removed from the memory. So this is a kind of memory management we are doing. Okay, so this is all about the memory management. Next one is process management. So process management is basically managing the process. Okay, they're like anything that we are actually we are executing in the operating system will be in the form of process. For example, if we are running a C program, a single C program is basically a process. We are running a suppose we are opening a Word file. Okay, so that is also a process. So every small thing program that we are actually running is in the form of process. So all those process need to be managed, like which process will be given how much priority, and based on what parameters we are executing all those processes will be taken care by this process management. So in the process management also, we will be having certain algorithms, certain techniques, certain handling mechanism by which, by proper utilization or proper implementation of all those process management, we will be having a good operating system. Okay, so all this process management will be taking care of all the issues or all the handling of the process. Next one is input output buffer. So in the input output buffer, basically the operating system is maintaining all those input output devices, handle the buffer for the input output devices, and make sure they work correctly. Okay, so whatever data is being taken from the input output from those hardware devices in the form of input output, that buffer need to be handled, that thing need to be handled. So those things are actually taken care in the input output buffer. And the last layer is the user program, is the highest layer in the layered operating system, layered structure of the operating system. And this layer deals with many user program and application that runs in the application operating system. So basically we are running a lot of program in the operating system, maybe by the user, maybe in the background. So all those processes or all those programs are basically need to be taken care. So these are the basic programs that are actually specific by from a user perspective. Okay, so we may have a like personal system. So in the operating system, in the background there might be a lot of program running, but the programs which are actually executed by the user, so those are the user program. Okay, it can be a like word processor like Microsoft Word. Okay, then if we are like playing any game, that is also a user program. If we are using any browser for browsing anything, that is also a user program. If we are typing something in, suppose in cPanel, okay, command prompt or anything, whatever the user is doing will be taken care in the form of user program. So how those user programs are actually maintained or actually handled, so that is actually taken care by this highest layer of the layered operating system. Okay, now every user program, they need to interact with the hardware, but user program, they do not have the authority to directly interact with the hardware. They need to go through this input output buffer, they need to go through this the previous thing, like the user programs will be further divided into number of processes. So those processes will be taken care by the process management thing. Then those processes or of the user program might be given certain memory, like how much memory will be like consumed by those user program. Like suppose you are playing a game and it is going to occupy around 500 MB of space of your RAM. So those things will be taken care by the memory management. Then these things will be or whether the CPU will be allocated to the user program first or not. So that thing will be taken care by the like your CPU scheduling thing. Okay, and finally, if the user program required any hardware, so that part will be taken care by the hardware layer. So I'm talking about all this interconnection because all these layers are somewhat interconnected with each other, like one after another, and there will be a sort of interaction or some sort of communication are actually taking place in between these layers. Okay, so I have discussed about all these 6 layers. This is the once again I will show this layered structure, that basically we have 6 different layers. So I have explained all this. So I hope these things are clear. Thank you.